The Battle of the Bulge weakened Germany, which enabled Allied troops to move eastward and penetrate deep into the heart of the country. At the same time, the Soviet forces advanced westward through Poland towards Berlin, the capital of Germany. The Soviets were the first ones to free the death camps, and saw the unimaginable horrors that happened there. Subsequently, American forces also uncovered and were profoundly appalled by the Nazi death camps in Germany. The Soviet army came from the east, and the Allied forces came from the west. They surrounded the German territory, leaving the Germans trapped and on the verge of defeat. The Yalta Conference took place in February 1945. It was attended by the leaders of the three major Allied powers, Roosevelt, Churchill, and Stalin, who were also known as the Big Three. They were happy with the clear expectation of Germany's loss. At the conference, there were talks about the future of Germany. Stalin suggested dividing Germany among the Allied nations to ensure it doesn't become a threat again. Churchill had a different opinion, but Roosevelt proposed making some compromises with Stalin. These compromises included offering support in the fight against Japan and endorsing the newly proposed United Nations, an international organization focused on keeping peace. At the Yalta Conference, it was decided to split Germany into 4 occupation zones. These zones were assigned to the Americans, the British, the Soviets, and the French. Stalin agreed to hold unrestricted elections in Poland and other Eastern European nations, and also pledged to participate in the war against Japan. The Yalta Conference led to significant decisions, but it also indicated increasing tensions between the Soviet Union and the other allies. On April 25, 1945, the Soviet forces had arrived in Berlin. Adolf Hitler decided to take his own life through suicide as he faced imminent defeat. 1 week later, General Eisenhower officially accepted Nazi Germany's unconditional surrender, which marked the end of the war in Europe. The Allies celebrated VE Day, which stands for Victory in Europe Day, on May 8, 1945. Unfortunately, President Roosevelt did not live long enough to witness VE Day. He passed away on April 12, 1945. Harry S. Truman became the 33rd President of the United States following the death of President Roosevelt. Following their victories at Iwo Jima and Okinawa, the Allies acknowledged the formidable challenge of invading Japan due to its large military forces. President Truman believed that the best way to prevent a potentially long and expensive invasion was to utilize the atomic bomb. This bomb was created as a result of the Manhattan Project, which was overseen by J. Robert Oppenheimer. The atomic bomb was successfully tested on July 16, 1945, and it surpassed expectations with its immense power. The choice to employ the atomic bomb was a subject of controversy. Certain scientists held the belief that it would be morally unacceptable to deploy such a destructive weapon on Japan, whereas others contended that it could expedite the conclusion of the war and preserve lives. Moreover, it would provide the United States with an upper hand over the Soviet Union in the aftermath of the war. In the end, it was President Truman who decided to use the bomb. The city of Hiroshima in Japan was hit by an atomic bomb on August 6, 1945. The damage was extensive, as nearly every building was reduced to dust. Nevertheless, Japan did not surrender right away. In an urgent effort to bring the war to a close, a second bomb was deployed on Nagasaki, leading to the loss of around 200,000 lives. Emperor Hirohito was deeply shocked by this action, leading to Japan's ultimate surrender on September 2, 1945. The war ended with the surrender. The surrender of Japan marked the start of the nuclear age because the use of atomic bombs had a big effect on world history. Following the war, various countries, including the Soviet Union, aimed to create their own atomic weapons. This resulted in a tense and competitive environment between the United States and the Soviet Union on the global stage. Plans were already being made for the creation of the United Nations, UN, to promote peace and cooperation worldwide, even before the war ended. Nevertheless, the United Nations quickly turned into a conflict zone where the United States and the Soviet Union, the two major powers, competed for dominance and authority over other countries. During the Potsdam Conference in July 1945, there were tensions between Truman and Stalin. At the Yalta Conference, Stalin made a promise to permit free elections in Eastern Europe. However, the region is currently under the occupation of Soviet troops, and the opportunity for free elections has been denied. There were also disagreements about Germany paying reparations to compensate for the losses suffered by the Soviet Union during the war. Although faced with difficulties, the leaders at the Potsdam Conference managed to find a solution. They agreed to divide Germany into 4 occupation zones, as previously discussed at the Yalta Conference. Additionally, each occupying country received reparations from the zone they controlled. The purpose of the Nuremberg trials was to ensure that the remaining Nazi leaders were held responsible for their actions during the war. These trials were significant because they established the idea that individuals are responsible for wartime atrocities and became a part of international law. Numerous Nazi leaders were convicted of committing crimes against humanity, crimes against peace, and war crimes. As a consequence, they received harsh punishments, such as death penalties and imprisonment. After Japan surrendered, American forces, led by General MacArthur, occupied the country. This job lasted for 6 years, during which Japanese officials were brought to trial for war crimes. The United States also helped Japan set up a free market economy and make a new democratic constitution, which was a big change for the country. Despite the immense devastation experienced by Europe and Japan, World War II presented significant opportunities for Americans. The war effort resulted in many job opportunities and improved the economy, resulting in a decrease in unemployment and an increase in workers' savings. Farmers also saw improvements during the 1940s. Following the difficult dust storms experienced during the Great Depression, improved weather conditions and advancements in agricultural technology enabled farmers to cultivate crops effectively and achieve financial gains. The war greatly affected women as well, with more than 6 million of them joining the workforce. In the past, men typically held these jobs, but now women have more chances to work in different industries. Moreover, World War II triggered a significant population movement, marking one of the most extensive migrations in the nation's past. Individuals who had resided in particular regions for an extended period of time sought improved employment opportunities in different areas, resulting in substantial migration from rural areas and small communities to the northern and western regions. African Americans were part of the group that moved to find better jobs and escape discrimination. The GI Bill of Rights was passed by Congress in 1944 to help servicemen transition back to civilian life. The bill offered financial aid to veterans for their education, and more than half of the soldiers who came back took advantage of this chance. The GI Bill also provided federal loan guarantees to veterans who wanted to purchase homes, farms, or start businesses. This gave them new opportunities that they may not have had otherwise. The GI Bill was very important in helping veterans and contributing to the growth and prosperity of the United States after the war.